Can you reach out yet? Nah, Pop. He ghosted.
Even though Jay-Z has been silent about Diddy since things began to go wrong for him, it seems that the two of them are still in communication. A phone conversation between Jay-Z and Diddy was recently leaked, and it doesn't seem like Jay-Z will be assisting his old pal anytime soon. But what precisely was said in that claimed phone call? And where do Jay-Z and Diddy stand now?
It's the first time he's not getting a pass with white media. You know, like he can control black media because a lot of them either work or do business with him. You know, but like, you know, Drink Champs can't get him out of this one.
Since September 2024, Diddy's new home has been the New York Metropolitan Detention Center. His legal team has attempted to get him released on bond many times, even offering to pay the highest bail amount so that Diddy might be free for the time being.
So this was the first step. We have a bail appeal scheduled for tomorrow at 3:30 in front of Judge Carter, the district judge assigned to this case. I think that we made the points that we've been wanting to make. I think it came out. Mr. Combs is a fighter. He's going to fight this to the end. He's innocent. He came to New York to establish his innocence. He's not afraid. He's not afraid of the charges. There's nothing that the government said in their presentation today that changes anyone's mind about anything. He's been looking forward to this day. He's been looking forward to clearing his name, and he's going to clear his name. And we're going to stand by his side as he does. We believe in him wholeheartedly. He didn't do these things. This was a 10-year relationship. There's no coercion. There's no crime. There's basically just, you know, someone who brought a civil case and now is finding themselves as a witness in a criminal case. And we're going to fight this case with everything we have, as is he. And eventually he's going to be shown to be innocent. And so tomorrow we fight again, and we'll fight every day.
Each time, the prosecution provide a superior case for why there should be.
Will come, and we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these individuals are, but because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that. But the names that we're going to name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that will shock.
Recently, it was leaked that Diddy was making some phone calls to his best friend Jay-Z.
Why does it all come to a head now? Why now? Why?
Because he's the acceptable monster at this time, like R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this couch.
So who's next?
Y'all don't see the lineup?
Yeah, we see the lineup. I'm just waiting to see who's next.
Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. Why is everyone having such a hard time?
The interesting thing is that Jay-Z has been awfully quiet about everything since the Diddy allegations came out. But that's not exactly surprising because everyone knows that if Diddy is found guilty, Jay-Z may be next in line to go down. Everyone believes that Jay-Z not only knows about what Diddy has been doing, but he's also been an active participant.
Both P. Diddy and Jay-Z, as a judge rules a rape accuser can remain anonymous, at least for now. And the judge gets spicy in her ruling too, calling out Jay-Z's attorney for filing what she says is a litany of motions that are a waste of judicial resources. But before we can get into this latest motion, let's take a few steps back to look at the basics. Sean Combs, P. Diddy, has been living at the Metropolitan Detention Center for the past 3 months now. That's because he faces federal charges of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. But Diddy's fall from grace came far before his September arrest, but rather last November, when the first civil suit against him was filed alleging sexual abuse. Since then, there have been almost too many civil lawsuits to keep up with, and another high-profile name has recently made its way into a filing: Jay-Z. Sean Carter, Beyonce's husband, whatever you know him as, is now accused of raping a 13-year-old girl at one of P. Diddy's parties. We reported on this specific lawsuit back when it was filed in October, but here's a quick refresher. The woman who filed this civil suit is listed only as Jane Doe. She hasn't revealed her true identity and doesn't have to, at least for now, but more on that later. Now, Jane Doe says she met Diddy's limo driver outside the MTV Video Music Awards in September 2000. He told her, quote, Combs liked younger girls and said she'll fit what Diddy was looking for, not allowing her into the awards, but inviting her to an after party. Later that night, the driver brought her to a large white house that was behind a gated fence. And inside, she saw multiple celebrities she recognized, and of course, P. Diddy. According to her suit, once inside, 2 men asked plaintiff, that's Jane Doe, to sign a non-disclosure agreement, informing her that she could not discuss what happened at the party. She gave them her name and signed the form, but did not receive a copy. Eventually, Jane Doe accepted a drink at this party. She says it was a reddish-yellow mixture and tasted like orange juice, cranberry juice, and something else bitter mixed in. Jane Doe now believes Diddy or one of his associates slipped something into her drink. After all of this, Jane Doe had some of the drink. She says she started feeling woozy and wanted to lie down. So she went into what she thought was an empty room, but did not lock the door. The next part is a direct quote from Jane Doe's lawsuit, and it's pretty disturbing. Quote, soon after, Combs, along with a male and female celebrity, entered the room. Combs aggressively approached plaintiff Jane Doe with a crazed look in his eyes, grabbed her, and said, you are ready to...
His friendship with Diddy appears to be the last thing on his mind lately, and Diddy might just make him regret that. I mean, just look at all the years he's facing. If things go badly for him, he could even get a life sentence. But if he works with the feds and gives out information on other elites in Hollywood, it could make his sentence a little bit lighter. And who better to start with than his long-lost best friend, Jay-Z?
Potentially, do you think there could be?
Thousands. I've talked to hundreds that I deal with still myself. I have 3 victims right now who are willing to give testimony about not only what Mr. Carter has done to them, but his wife as well. They're a nasty little couple. They do nasty things.
What do you think happened with Kim Porter?
Keeping people against their will. Putting people on planes while they're unconscious, just like Aaliyah got on that plane. Unconscious. There's a lot of things that people don't want to talk about.
Now, you might think that he wouldn't do this, but in a leaked phone call among Diddy and his son, it played very likely, according to Sports SK. In the alleged call, Diddy gave his son Christian Combs some strict instructions. He told Christian not to speak much while they were on the call, and then he told him to get rid of the pizza boxes and to recycle the plastic. Now it's obvious that Diddy tried to conceal the true meaning of what he asked his son to do, but Christian seemed to understand. It just good and said that he would do it. Since hearing the conversation, a lot of people have been speculation. Just what it means, with some said that the pizza boxes might be linked to the infamous Pizzagate, which implies that it might have proof of high-ranking lawmakers at the freak-offs.
Because my next guest just testified before a federal grand jury. He says he was in possession of a trove of digital evidence from Diddy's freak-offs and parties. His name is Courtney Burgess, and he says a friend gave him 11 flash drives that belonged to the late Kim Porter. And if you follow this story, you'll know that Kim Porter is Diddy's ex-girlfriend and the mother of 4 of his kids. On those drives, the witness says 8 videos featured 8 celebrities at Diddy freak-offs or parties, and that 6 were males, 2 were females. The drive also included a manuscript of an alleged Kim Porter memoir, a memoir that her 4 kids insist is...
The plastics could be hard copy tapes of the freak-offs in general recycling. Them could mean erasing their content. But only Christian and Diddy know the real truth of the conversation.
March of this year, special agents from HSI executed search warrants at Combs' residences in Miami and Los Angeles. They also executed a warrant for Combs' electronic devices. During those searches, agents seized evidence of the crimes charged in this indictment. They seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 defaced AR-15s and a large capacity drum magazine. They also seized evidence of the freak-offs, electronic devices that contain images and videos of the freak-offs with multiple victims. And they seized cases and cases of the kinds of personal lubricant and baby oil that Combs' staff allegedly used to stock hotel rooms for the freak-offs, more than 1,000 bottles altogether.
I have to go back to the raid real quick with Diddy. His sons were there, and he was not there at the houses. And he was quiet.
That was the worst part of that.
And to see his sons being
How
hacked.
the f do you force your kids to do your perp walk?
That Diddy asked Chris if Jay-Z had reached out to him or said anything, and Christian said that Jay-Z was ghosting. Afterwards, Diddy started complaining about how everyone was staying quiet on him, and he said that he was going to be one getting the last laugh. Assessing from that part of the call, it's easy to see how Diddy might betray Jay-Z.
I feel the federal government will probably speak to Jay-Z in regards.
They already have.
Oh.
They talked to him before he made that Super Bowl announcement. Isn't that interesting? He was questioned by the feds before he made the Super Bowl announcement. Blink twice. Oh, this about to get fun for me.
Let me ask.
There's nothing like, have you ever seen what happens to a rat when it's trapped?
But it's not certain whether that will truly happen. According to E! News, federal prosecutors filed another move against Diddy. In the motion they filed in November, they said that Diddy had made relentless attempts to contact possible witnesses, celebs.
6 men and 2 women. How many of those 8 celebrities were close to being underage or potentially underage?
2 males.
2 males. And of those 8 celebrities, how many of them were intoxicated or under the influence of drugs?
This is going to be all speculation. I just want to preface it by he wouldn't know if they were. Right.
Sure.
Appear to
Let
be.
me rephrase it.
Based on, yes.
Understand. Out of the 8 celebrities who were recorded having intimate relations with Sean Combs, how many of them appeared to be either inebriated or intoxicated or under the influence?
All of them. All of them.
Out of those 8, how many appear to be potentially victimized? How many might have been victimizing?
I think all, to be honest, all.
Were victims
They victims.
or were perpetrating?
Victims.
They were all 8 were victimized.
Yeah.
Meaning
Victims.
this was happening to them and they were inebriated.
Right. Not knowing, I guess, how much proof it was in it, what they was doing.
And of those 8, how many seemed to be potentially minors?
2 to 3, possibly.
Even though Diddy is still in jail, prosecutors believe that he's reaching out to people who are connected to the case against him, and he's not just doing it personally. Judging from the motion, it looks like Diddy is getting someone on the outside to do his dirty work for him. From the looks of things, that someone might be Jay-Z and Diddy's P all these strings from prison. Imagine if he was actually out on bail while the feds were still preparing their case against him.
Under New York's Adult Survivors Act, that was a law that gave survivors of sexual assault a 1-year window to file lawsuits if their claims were otherwise time-barred under the statute of limitations. Now, Ventura had told CBS at the time, quote, "After years in silence and darkness, I am finally ready to tell my story and to speak up on behalf of myself and for the benefit of other women who face violence and abuse in their relationships." With the expiration of New York's Adult Survivors Act fast approaching, it became clear that this was an opportunity to speak up about the trauma I have experienced and that I will be recovering from for the rest of my life. Now, just 1 day after filing this lawsuit in New York federal court, Combs and Ventura agreed to a settlement. Now, as with most settlements, it was confidential. We do not know the terms. Ventura released a statement saying, quote, "I have decided to resolve this matter amicably on terms that I have some level of control. I want to thank my family, fans, and lawyers for their unwavering support." Combs released his own statement saying, quote, "We have decided to resolve this matter amicably. I wish Cassie and her family all the best. Love." Now, Ben Brafman, who is an attorney for Sean Combs, released a statement saying, quote, "Just so we're clear, a decision to settle a lawsuit, especially in 2023, is in no way an admission of wrongdoing. Mr. Combs' decision to settle the lawsuit does not in any way undermine his flat-out denial of the claims. He's happy they got to a mutual settlement and wishes Miss Ventura the best."
And judging from the phone calls, the prosecutors want Diddy to stop making it look like Jay-Z and Diddy are finally back together. But there's more the prosecutors are accusing Diddy of doing, including contacting people not on his contact list. Obviously, this is against regulations, but it doesn't end here. If anything, that was his least serious crime. The prosecutors also claim that Diddy has been trying to prevent the feds from listening to his calls by using Contact Me as ASAP is not a permitted method of communication.
Uptown Records started with 5 people. Andre Harrell, I'll Be Sure, Heavy D, and Puffy. And Kim was the longest working employee because she was there from the very beginning. She was Andre's personal assistant. Kim is dead. Heavy D is dead. Andre Harrell is dead. Heavy D was found dead, face down in the heart attack. Andre Harrell, heart attack. Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said that she died. It was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms. And then right after that, Al had a meeting, and I was gonna meet up with him because we were in Vegas, and then the next thing you know, you wanna know what they all had in common though? The survivors and the late of Uptown Records, they were all writing tell-all.
In a court of law, he also allegedly uses three-way calls by reaching out to people on his contact list and then having a third-party ad added to the call. On top of that, prosecutors accuse Diddy of using another inmate's PAC numbers to make calls he doesn't want traced back to him, which is a big no-no according to the Bureau of Prisons regulations.
Says Celebrity A is Jay-Z, whose legal name is Sean Carter. The suit begins. Defendant Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, aka Puff Daddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, along with his longtime friend and collaborator Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z, drugged and raped a 13-year-old girl at an after-party following the 2000 Video Music Awards. Another celebrity stood by and watched as Combs and Carter took turns assaulting the minor. Many others were present at the after-party, but did nothing to stop the assault. Combs has been allowed for years to conduct himself in this manner without any consequences. The plaintiff says she was 13 at the time in January of 2000, when she said she went to the MTV Video Music Awards at Radio City Music Hall. She didn't have a ticket, so she approached limo drivers who were parked outside hoping to get in. The lawsuit says one of the limousine drivers she spoke to claimed to work for defendant Combs. The driver told her that Combs liked younger girls and said that she fit what Diddy was looking for. And while not allowing her into the awards, the driver invited her to an after-party. The driver stated that he had to drive Combs and others to the after-party first, but instructed plaintiff to return to his location after the event and that he pick her up after and take her to the after-party.
And judging from the phone calls the prosecutors want Diddy to stop making, it looks like Jay-Z and Diddy are finally back together. But there's more the prosecutors are accusing Diddy of doing, including contacting people not on his contact list. Obviously, this is against regulations, but it doesn't end here. If anything, that was his least serious crime. The prosecutors also claim that Diddy has been trying to prevent the feds from listening to his calls by using Contact Me ASAP. And Contact Me ASAP is not an authorized means of communication.
The defendant also uses a non-authorized third-party messaging service called Contact Me ASAP to obscure his communications. The defendant appears to be using two Contact Me ASAP accounts. First, the defendant's BOP contact list includes a particular email address assigned to the defendant's son, which does not appear to be an account owned by the defendant's son, but instead appears to be an email address connected to Contact Me ASAP. Second, the defendant appears to be using another inmate's Contact Me ASAP account, primarily using email one. The defendant has exchanged hundreds of text messages via Contact Me ASAP with dozens of individuals, including attorneys and individuals who are not on the defendant's contact list. So any issue there?
Again, if he's contacting his attorneys, it's usually, it always is attorney-client privilege unless there's a third party involved. Some people don't feel comfortable talking to their attorneys on jail calls. Even though they know they're not supposed to be listening to those calls, I can tell you they do listen to some of those phone calls. They're not supposed to. They might not use it in a court of law.
You don't want any sort of propaganda to persuade the masses one way or another because, at the end of the day, the jury will be picked from the masses. and the prosecutors feel Diddy is attempting to orchestrate some kind of propaganda.
Pointing to recorded phone calls from jail, they say Combs asked family members to reach out to potential victims and witnesses, urging them to create narratives to influence a jury pool. Allegations that could land Combs in even more trouble.
Intended to use his birthday to push his innocence, and he was going to do this while on a conversation with his family. Despite knowing what he was planning to do, they couldn't stop him from talking to his family.
Prosecutors say not only is Sean Combs not entitled to bail, but essentially he shouldn't even get a hearing on this. And remember, Combs is currently in detention at the Metropolitan Detention Center out in Brooklyn, New York, after being denied bail by other judges. The main issues keeping him locked away are that the courts have held that the prosecutors have shown that he is a danger on the outside, he's a potential flight risk. Most notably was evidence put forward that he had been improperly contacting victims and witnesses in this case. And as we discussed on previous sidebars, Sean Combs' counsel has denied all this. They've indicated that all of those conversations were not done with the intent to engage in witness tampering or obstruction, and even, at least they say, one witness had contacted Combs, not the other way around. Well, the government has come out with new evidence of its own to justify pretrial detention. And let me just read you this from the beginning of their brief. They say, while attempting to evade law enforcement monitoring, the defendant has, among other things, orchestrated social media campaigns that are, in his own words, aimed at tainting the jury pool, made efforts to publicly leak materials he views as helpful to his case, and contacted witnesses through third parties? What? And that's not even half of it, because now we have a better idea of also who may be a key witness in this case. So much to break through, so much to break down. Let me bring on acclaimed criminal defense attorney to the stars, Bradford Cohen, who has famously represented celebrities like Kodak Black and Drake. Thank you so much for coming on, Bradford. I gotta start with this bombshell. So the government says, look, you can't let him out because he has already been engaging in obstruction while locked up. They read, the government has reviewed dozens of recordings of BOP jail calls in which the defendant uses telephone accounts of at least 8 other inmates, which is against BOP regulations. Seemingly to avoid law enforcement monitoring, the defendant uses other inmates' PAC numbers to make phone calls to both individuals on the defendant's approved contact list, as well as other individuals who are not on the approved contact list. To obtain or maintain access to other inmates' PAC numbers, the defendant directs others to pay the inmates, including through payment processing apps and BOP account deposits. The defendant also frequently instructs individuals whom he contacts by telephone, including family members and his attorneys, to add other individuals via three-way call. This practice is not authorized by BOP as it helps conceal the identities of the contacted individuals. The government has reviewed multiple calls in which the defendant has instructed parties to dial in third parties, including members and associates of the enterprise.
Many people heard his call with his family, and it sounded like Diddy was just your average family man being kept away from his loved ones unfairly. Did anyone actually buy that? Undoubtedly not. But he still tried it, and the attorneys also said in the motion that one of the calls they found disturbing was one he made to his son. Understand the leaked call I provided earlier? While the feds didn't give any details on what was said on the call or if it was that same call,
members of other inmates, the defendant is explicit about his intention to use public statements to alter public perception, and the defendant leaves no doubt that the narrative he wants to leave is the potential jury pool's perception of this criminal proceeding. And examples of these efforts, they say, are plentiful, and then they black out and they redact all of those examples. First, Bradford, why the redactions?
Well, the redactions probably because they don't want it to then make it public what his position is. Like, I didn't do it. This one witness, she did X, Y, Z. I'm sure that there's things in there that the government doesn't want the public to hear because the government has their narrow view of what's going on, right? And whenever the defendant then wants to address that narrow view and put out his own statement or address it in a different way, they want to curtail that because they have a certain way to look at a case. They don't want anyone looking at it.
Even though Diddy is still in jail, prosecutors believe that he's reaching out to people who are connected to the case against him, and he's not just doing it personally. Judging from the motion, it looks like Diddy is getting someone on the outside to do his dirty work for him. From the looks of things, that someone might be Jay-Z and Diddy's P all these strings from prison. Imagine if he was actually out on bail while the feds were still preparing their case against him.
Happy birthday to Daddy.
Happy birthday to. Keep going, love.
Happy birthday to Daddy.
We love you too. Love you, Pops.
I can't wait to see y'all.
Yep.
Can't wait to see y'all. And I just want to say I'm proud of y'all. I'm proud of y'all, especially the girls. I mean, all of y'all. But just for being strong. Thank y'all for being strong, and thank y'all for being by my side and supporting me. I love y'all. I got the best family in the world. My birthday, I'm happy. Thank you, y'all giving me this call. Thank you very much. I love y'all.
We love you more too. Can't wait to see you in a couple of days.
I'll see y'all in a couple of days.
Say it again.
What you say?
I love you, Daddy.
Yeah.
I love you too, baby.
Yo, Pops.
Hi, we're right here.
Chance right here on the phone too. Pops, love eating all your cake, so you're not gonna have none left.
She's literally digging her face in it.
Yeah. We're gonna have to buy you a new one. Yo, she's face down in the cake right now. Say hey, Chance.
Happy birthday to Mom.
We love you.
Chance is right here too, if you can hear. On the phone. One more time.